I will speak in English, dear brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, dear fathers. I'm very glad to be here. My presentation it's titled, it's connected with the Noul-Neamt Monastery and the Monastery of Holy Mountain. Everybody knows that Holy Mountain is considered to be a holy place by all Orthodox Christian, a place of inspiration and a place of ascetic life. Some people visit the Holy Mountain regularly, some just once in their life. Monks especially are attracted to this holy place, and after visiting Mount Athos, some of them decide to settle there, whilst others return on a regular basis. The Noul-Neamt Monastery was created by the brothers from Neamt with a single purpose: to preserve the rule and tradition of St. Paisi Velichkovsky. This here we see the one picture of St. Paisius. His life was one inspiration for a lot of monks in Romania, Moldova, Russia, and another Orthodox country. This purpose was prescribed in the project of a foundation of new monastery presented at the St. Synod in Petersburg in 1863. It is stipulated in the Article 2, the rule or internal order of the monastery, that is the typical ordinance, the custom of a refectory, the obedience and other spiritual qualities will be the same as in the Lavra, Neamț and Secu in Moldova. Established by St. Paisi Velichkovsky, this could be exactly like the rules of Mount Athos. The end of citation. The indication of the rule of Mount Athos show us that the life in the monastery of Paisian tradition was confirmed with the tradition learned and practiced on the Holy Mountain. The practice of community life was incorporated into the Paisian community from the philocalic writings studied thoroughly and from the example seen in some Athonist cells and Hermitage. So, we will try to answer the following question. First, how did the relations of the Romanian, Russian, Greek Athonist monks together with the community and fraternity in the country, especially with the brothers of Noul-Neamt Monastery, manifested themselves? Second, what were the point of collaboration? And finally, third, what questions were discussed between the abbots and brothers from the Holy Mountain and Noul-Neamt Monastery? It is in this presentation, we will try to highlight some reports preserved in the archives of the Noul-Neamt Monastery. They are vivid and testify on the subject of the connection of the Noul-Neamt brothers with those of Holy Mountain in the second half of the 19th century. This is the picture of Noul-Neamt Monastery. Noul-Neamt Monastery is, I think we can see now, last week is the picture was shot video. And this is the map of a monastery in Republic of Moldova. Noul-Neamt in the south part of Moldova, near Tiraspol and Bender. You can see Noul-Neamt very near the Tiraspol, Bender, and in another important. The ordinance of the Holy Mountain remained in sources even in the 19th century, when the founding fathers of Noul-Neamt Monastery, Teofan Cristea, was the first abbot of the Noul-Neamt Monastery, and Andronic Popovich, Here you can see his picture. Visited the Holy Mountain. He made pilgrimage to these places. Theophan Christe visited the Holy Mountain in 1833, 1834, and probably in the middle of 1860. The Father Andronic had been there in 1858, 1859. Archimandrite Andronic left us a description of the monastery of Athos and Constantinople, as well as a book entitled Mary, Pilgrimage and History of the Holy Mounts. We can see here four main aims of pilgrimage. He gives one theological approach of a pilgrimage, and this first fulfillment of the pilgrim's vows to God, giving thanks to God, devotion for holy places and saints, and fourth, account of the pilgrim's experience. We have a second, the third abbot of the Noul-Neamt Monastery, Archimandrite German Irimchoi. He was visiting the Holy Mountains and stayed 4 years in the monastery of Pantocrator, but in the cells of Hermitage of St. Elijah. Several the brothers from Noul-Neamt Monastery was a lot of time in the Holy Mountain, and also we have a lot of example when the brothers from Holy Mountain come to Noul-Neamt. Several inhabitants of the Holy Mountain settled at the Noul-Neamt in the second half of the 9th century. Starting their monastic lives in the Holy Mountain, they decided to come to Noul-Neamt under the obedience of Father Theophan Andronic Herman. Those, Irodiacon Calistrat Galectionoviciu from Romanian Skit of Prodromu sent several letters to Noul-Neamt. Earlier, the novice Gheorghe Irimchoi came back from Holy Mountain to Noul-Neamt. In the future, Gheorghe Irimchoi became Archimandrite Herman and the third abbot of a monastery. He spent 3 years in the Hermitage, like Prophet Elijah, and 1 year in Russian Orthodox ecclesiastical mission in Jerusalem. In 1882, there were 47 monks who lived in the Noul-Neamt monastery. Among them, 15 originally from Romania, 1 Bulgarian, and 1 Greek, Archimandrite Samuil Discopolo. We do not know where he received the tonsure in monasticism, but we have much evidence that Father Samuil had close ties with the brothers from Athos. In his spiritual testimony from 1882 and from 1885, Father Samuil writes, citation, I do not have money and property. Everything that can be found after my death, everything I leave to the Noul-Neamt monastery, because they received me very well, and here I found my peace. And continue of citation, the executor of my will I call my spiritual father Theophan Christe, and all the fathers who are in this monastery. They were all my wealth. I ask the Holy Father to bury me as a simple monk without any ceremony. I ask forgiveness from all. End of citation. Before Father Samuil's death, he confessed and received the holy gifts brought to him by one hiermonk from Noul-Neamt Monastery. He died on 10 June 1885, aged 74, and on 12 June was buried in the Noul-Neamt monastic cemetery. There are other monks who started their monastic life on Holy Mountain but came to the Noul-Neamt, or those who submit monastic vows in Noul-Neamt but then went to the Holy Mountain. Many of the brothers who lived in Mount Athos at that time considered Father Theophan and Father Andronic as their spiritual father. I should present here the correspondence between the monks from Noul-Neamt and the Holy Mountain. The correspondence with the brothers of Holy Mountains was intense and include several aspects: pastoral, moral, economic, and cultural. Regretfully, not all the letters were preserved. Some were lost early on, others in Greek have not been studied for the purpose of this article. I hope in future to study also the letters in Greek. Now I study letter in Romanian, Russian languages, in French languages, but not in Greek languages. We present here only a few letters from the monastery archives. Chronologically, they are dated between 1866 and 1875. That is from the period of Abbot Father Theophan, and after this Father Andronic. In fact, most of them are addressed to Father Theophan, but some are addressed to Father Andronic. So it is a correspondence with different brothers from several monasteries in the Holy Mountain. Here we have a main four important monastery from the Skid monastery and Skid from what come to. I don't indicate here the monastery of Pantocrator, Iviron monastery, because they have a letter from this monastery, but I haven't the possibility to study this letter. In this case, I indicate also the letter from all the monastery that I study. Most of the letters were preserved from the Russian monasteries at Great St. Panteleimon, from Father Makary Sushkin, who was the abbot of Russian monastery from 1875-1889. We have 14 letters from on total. The most important discussion was about the translation and publication of the writings of patristic heritage, especially the service and the life of martyrs Euphemius, Ignatius, and Acacius. There are correspondence with the abbots and the brothers of St. Elijah Hermitage was important also. There are 6 letters from this Hermitage. We understand that several brothers of this Hermitage, who is dependent for Pantocrator monastery, were originally from Bessarabia. Others, preserving the memory of starry he had agreed to be elected and pointed out that it was not an honor but a cross. He lamented the discord between some brothers in the monastery. He asked for prayer from the brothers of a Noul-Neamt monastery and listed their names. Here we have a letter from Father Makary from Monastery of Panteleimon, and here we have a letter from Aunt Santa Abbot of us. What's that? I think I will continue, but no signal. I will continue without. Good. Okay. Yeah. Here we have one citation from a letter of Father Tobias from Elijah's Skid. He asked for prayer from the brothers from Noul-Neamt monastery. Here we have a list. I will. Father Andronic, Father Sebastian, Father Arcadius, Father Sylvester, Father Herman, and other brothers in Christ. Pray for me. When our fathers shall travel to Odessa, I will send through them the relics of Saint Euphemius, Ignatius, and Acacius." The end of citation. We can see that the brothers from Holy Mountains know a lot of person from Noul-Neamt, and this was the same. In their relation, they listed the brothers who for greetings and who for best regards to give to them. On the 9th of November 1887, we have another letter from Father Tobias, in which he laments that many brothers in his hermitage are sick, himself included. In the same letter, Father Tobias encourages Father Theophan, who was going through a crisis. Citation: "I wish you with all my heart to recover. For this I call upon the Lord, knowing that you must live in this world not for yourself, but for the spiritual benefit of your spiritual children. The discernment and love you have are a living testimony and guide the experiences that your spiritual sons have." End of citation. This word, which made at first glance seem to be a panegyric to Father Theophan, are in fact nothing more than an encouragement to him. He was going through very difficult times in his life, and such a blessing from the brothers of Holy Mountain, especially from the abbot of Monastery of Hermitage of Saint Elijah and of Monastery of St. Panteleimon, another monastery, restored him and gave him the strength to resist and maintain the monastery. A lot of letters come from the Moldavian Hermitage, Prodromu, Lacu. Here we have the letter from Father Elijah from 1879. And from Father Amphilo here. We haven't time here to discuss about this later, but in that text I will present this text of this letter. It was interesting to have the possibility to write and to read in different languages who was using in Holy Mountain. One particular treasure for Noul-Neamt Monastery is library. In the library, which since 1962 has been preserved in National Archives on Republic of Moldova in Chisinau, we have a lot of text in Greek. Among the manuscripts and books kept at the Noul-Neamt, now in the archives of Chisinau, a special section is dedicated to the heritage of Holy Mountain. Many of these books are on importance for discovering the history and the spiritual treasure of our Orthodox faith. We will conclude by analyzing the catalogue dated from February 23, 1887, which contains a useful resume of the contents of each book in the archives, of which the following books are in Greek. Here we can see that we have in this period from 818 books and manuscripts. We have 157 books in Greek. 16 books was from 18th, 19th century, works of the Holy Fathers, 20 books with spiritual contents, 40 historical books in Greek, 35 books of musical notation in Moldavian, written in Greek characters, and 13 books of musical notation in Greek. And to go to conclusion, we conclude that since the beginning of the foundation of the Noul-Neamt Monastery, there have been close ties with the brothers from Holy Mountain, mountain. Fathers Theophan and Andronic had a rich correspondence with diverse monastery and hermitage. They had common project, reaching beautiful achievement and having success in the translation and printing of books, such as the service and life of Saint Euphemius, Ignatius, and Acacius. These examples are also an inspiration to later generation, especially today's. I hope that the interest to the Holy Mountain will be not only touristic, but also a spiritual motivation to edify the soul, mind, and heart. Thank you. Evchariston.
Thank you very much.